In the early 1960s, the idea of Nissan creating a true sports car was downright crazy. The world didn't think it was possible, but in less than 10 years, Nissan did something that would shock the automotive world forever. They didn't just make a car, they created a legend that would influence generations of drivers. This is the untold story of the Nissan Z, the car that redefined affordable speed, took on the best of the best, and yes, changed the way we think about performance. In the late 1950s, Nissan wasn't even close to a sports car company. They were focused on sedans, wagons, and trucks, especially in the American market, under the name Datsun. They didn't want to upset their reputation back in Japan, so they kept things simple, producing cars people could trust and afford. But in 1959, Nissan decided to dip its toes in the world of sports cars. The result? The Datsun Fairlady, a small, cute car inspired by the Broadway play My Fair Lady. It was charming, but not exactly a powerhouse. Unfortunately, the Fairlady wasn't what Americans wanted. It was underpowered, and critics didn't see it as a true sports car. It struggled to find an audience. But that setback didn't stop Nissan from dreaming bigger, and soon they'd prove that a small, affordable sports car could take on the big leagues. In 1969, Nissan pulled the cover off something that would forever change the sports car game. The 240Z. This wasn't just any car. It was fast, reliable, and, most importantly, affordable. The specs were impressive for the time. A 2.4-liter V6 engine, 151 horsepower, and it could go from 0 to 60 in just 8 seconds. All for around $3,600. That was a deal no one could ignore. Sales exploded. Dealers couldn't keep up with demand, and for good reason, no other car could match its price and performance. The 240Z wasn't just a car, it was a statement that Nissan had arrived. But that was only the beginning. Nissan was about to take things to the next level. By 1974, Nissan wasn't content with just one success. They followed up with the 260Z. This model brought a larger engine, but unfortunately, the power didn't quite keep up with the rising emission standards. Despite this, the 260Z introduced something new, the 2+2 version, which gave buyers more room. Problem was, it looked a little awkward. That extra room made it more of a grand tourer than a true sports car. In 1975, Nissan released the 280Z. It was essentially the same car, but with a few cosmetic changes. It was clear, though, that Nissan was beginning to shift focus. The raw speed of the 240Z was starting to give way to comfort and luxury. And then, in 1978, the 280ZX arrived. It was quieter, more luxurious, but in the eyes of enthusiasts, it had lost some of that edge. Performance dipped too, with a slower 0 to 60 time of 11 seconds. Critics began to call it soft. But Nissan wasn't done. A turbocharged version was waiting to bring the Z back to its roots. In 1981, Nissan introduced the turbocharged version of the 280ZX, pushing out 180 horsepower. Finally, the Z was back on track, delivering performance enthusiasts had been waiting for. Car and Driver called it one of the sportiest ZZs yet, and for good reason. It wasn't as raw as the original, but it still held its own on the road. Still, Nissan wasn't satisfied. They knew they could do even better. And so the next evolution was about to shake things up. In 1984, Nissan unveiled the 300ZX. This was a complete redesign with a 3.0-liter V6 engine pushing 200 horsepower. The 0 to 60 time dropped to just 7.3 seconds. It was still a fast, exciting car, but now it had more luxury features, like a digital dashboard. This shift to luxury left some purists frustrated, but the general public loved it. The 300ZX was a winner, blending performance with comfort, all while keeping the Z spirit alive. And just when people thought the Z couldn't get any better, Nissan introduced something that would blow everyone away. The 1990s brought the Z32-300ZX, and it was like nothing anyone had ever seen. With 300 horsepower and twin turbocharging, it could go from 0 to 60 in just 5 seconds. This was a car that could compete with the best in the world, and it did just that. Motor Trend named it the best import of 1990, and Car and Driver included it in their top 10 cars for 7 years in a row. It was a monster on the road, with jaw-dropping power and sleek design. This was peak Z. But as great as the Z32 was, the Z's reign wasn't going to last forever. In 1996, the Z was pulled from the North American market. Rising prices, economic shifts, and a drop in sports car enthusiasm led to its decline. The Z had a glorious run, but the world was changing, and the Z wasn't immune to that change. But Nissan wasn't giving up on the Z. They were just waiting for the right time to bring it back. In 2001, Nissan made a bold statement. The 350Z was back. It was everything fans had been hoping for. Affordable, powerful, and true to the Z's roots. With a 3.5-liter V6 engine and a starting price of just $26,000, it was a hit from the moment it hit the streets. The 350Z also made a name for itself in motorsports, especially drifting. It was back, and it was better than ever. But the Z wasn't just about affordability, it was about pushing the limits. And that's exactly what the next model did. In 2008, Nissan introduced the 370Z. It was lighter, faster, and packed a 3.7-liter V6 engine. The 370Z was a beast on the track, and it looked incredible on the streets. It even made its mark in the Fast and the Furious franchise, cementing its place in pop culture. This was the Z's evolution at its finest. More power, more precision, and just as affordable. And now with the latest Z on the horizon, it's about to get even more exciting. The 2024 Nissan Z is here, and it's a powerful throwback to the original Z. With a 3.0-liter twin-turbo V6 engine delivering 400 horsepower and a 0 to 60 time under 4 seconds, the 2024 Z is built for performance. It combines retro design with modern features like a digital display, Apple CarPlay, and top-tier safety tech, all for around $40,000. But the excitement doesn't stop there. Looking to 2025, Nissan is rumored to push the Z even further, possibly with enhanced performance and tech upgrades. Whether it's more horsepower or a hybrid version, the Z is primed to stay at the forefront of the affordable sports car scene.